Salawat. The Month of Grief by poet Nuri Sardar. How many years have we wept? In the eye your name is kept. Hussein will never forget. When the month of grief descends, the love of your name ascends, and with it tears the eye sends. Hearts were not made to be torn. O reason that tears are born, but for you hearts break and mourn. You died but live in the heart. Your story tears hearts apart. Your head from body they'd part. You tied heaven to the earth. You gave heaven its worth. Muhammad wept with your birth. O who was named heaven's prince, the earth misses your presence. Zainab laments your absence. You rose against a tyrant. Of him there's not a remnant. Millions for you lament. Sheikhs written of you this pen. Mourning you one night shakes men, and the night's mourning are 10. Your call for help the soul hears. We can fill seas with our tears, and drown all those swords and spears. We heard when for help you'd call. Our tears caught you when you'd fall. O Hussein, hearts to you crawl. O whose swords on you would pray. Hearts ask as from grief they sway. Help these hearts on judgment day. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Tonight I'm going to talk about a very young martyr of Imam Hussein's army, Hazrat Qasim ibn Hassan alayhi salam. Hazrat Qasim was Imam Hussein's nephew and the orphan of Imam Hassan. He was the grandson of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and Bibi Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. His mother was Bibi Farwa salamullah alayha. Hazrat Qasim was born 3 years before the death of his father and was raised by his uncles, Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. He was taught swordsmanship by Hazrat Abbas and Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam. When the night of Ashura approached, Imam Hussein extinguished all the candles and asked his companions to leave him if they wanted. He said that Yazid only needed his life, but all the companions showed loyalty to the Imam and didn't even move from their places. They were all ready to give their lives for the sake of Imam Hussein. But Hazrat Qasim had a question in his mind. His question was, would he too be blessed with martyrdom? He feared that his Imam might not allow him to fight due to his tender age. Imam Hussein looked at him as if permitting Hazrat Qasim to ask him the question. He asked Imam Hussein if he would be among the martyrs on the day of Ashura. Tears welled up in Imam Hussein's eyes. The youth's desire for martyrdom clearly showed that he was no ordinary youth. He was Qasim, the son of Imam Hassan. Before answering his question, the Imam asked him, Qasim, what do you think of death? All the companions of Imam Hussein awaited his reply. They all wondered what the 13-year-old would answer with. He replied to Imam Hussein, saying that death was sweeter to him than honey. The Imam then answered his question, and he said, Qasim, you too will be killed after bearing extreme hardship and pain. The moment arrived, and the battle between good and evil was underway. The companions of Imam Hussein were emerging, victorious one after the other. And they were laying down their lives defending their Imam. In those critical moments, Hazrat Qasim approached Imam Hussein and asked for permission to ride into battle. When Imam Hussein saw that Hazrat Qasim was ready to leave, he seated him on his lap, looked at him, and broke down into tears. He wept, and so did Qasim. It was very heartbreaking. Hazrat Qasim entered the battlefield and shouted, O people of Kufa, if you don't know me, let me tell you. I'm the son of Hassan ibn Ali. O people, Hussein is your leader and your Imam. Strange are your ways. First you invite him, then you want to kill him. May Allah's curse be on you. He fought very bravely and he killed many of them. The enemy then surrounded him and started to attack him from all sides. Hazrat Qasim then fell down from his horse and called upon his uncle for help. Imam Hussein swooped towards the attackers and pushed them back. When the dust settled, Qasim lay wounded in pain. He was at the verge of death. Imam Hussein cried, May Allah curse your killers, my child. Your grandfather and father will avenge your martyrdom on the day of judgment. By Allah, it is hard on me that you called out and I could not answer your call. Hazrat Qasim then took his last breath and became one of the martyred. May Allah grant our youth the bravery and spirit of sacrifice shown by Hazrat Qasim. Salawat.
Hassan, thank you very much. And inshallah, without further ado, as we invite Sheikh to the member, if we can all move towards the front and get close together with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين الحمد لله الأول فلا شيء قبله والآخر فلا شيء بعده والظاهر فلا شيء فوقه والباطن فلا شيء دونه والحمد لله على كل حال وصلى اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون صدق الله علي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I give my condolences to all of you on the occasion which we have come to commemorate the shahadat of Imam Hussein, his companions, and his Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam. As we continue to discuss the issue of the role of women in Islam, particularly from one aspect that we ended off with last night, and that is the status of women. And one of the roles that she has as a woman, but unfortunately because of the way that women have been treated, that it has become a negative thing. On one hand, that once the perception about women is negative, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he points out in the Quran, that those individuals, that when they were blessed or when they were given the good news, إِذَا بُشِّرَ, when they were given the good news that they had a daughter that was born, then they frowned upon that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Meccan verses, that he sought to change this perception. First saying that it is a blessing, it is good news that you receive. Another of the Meccan verses that we recited where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, it is among his signs, min ayatihi, that he has created from among your souls, azwajan. And it doesn't mean wives. Some of the translation says he has created wives from your soul, but it doesn't mean wives. Azwaj is a plural of zoj. Zoj means a pair, that mate, a spouse. And it doesn't denote any type of gender. Though at times we, again, because of the perception that we have, oh, well, the woman is created from the man. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created this mate for the purpose of what? And what is the perception you should have, again, when you enter into marriage? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's pointing out. That you find that mate, that you both will be on a path back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of that, what is needed between those mates, and this reciprocal is not from one side, that the husband gives mawadda and rahmah, love and compassion, but there's no love and compassion from the wife. No, love and compassion also from the wife. It is reciprocal. Both are responsible for reciprocating and giving love and compassion to one another. And this perhaps maybe dispels some of the things I've heard. In consulting with some people, they want to get their children married. And I've heard sometimes, well, you know what? Our children, they want to find love. They said love should come afterwards. They should just find someone to marry. And I've heard this. I said, no, don't look at this. You know, I'll pick the person they will marry, and that's it. It's finished. But they want to find love. Perhaps, they may be watching different television shows. Hamsafar, Silsile. They watch this and they say, oh, well, this is how we find the love. Or the different movies they be watching. Titanic. So, oh, this is the way. No. Love is not that. What the love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He's speaking about here, and perhaps very nicely put in from one individual. He says, yes, you know what? We are all looking for love. He said, but how to find that love? He says, first you have to love Allah. He says, and when you love Allah, then you will find love in other people. So that love that you look for in your spouse is that love that spouse will also help you return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best of manners. And this is perhaps one of the philosophies behind, and I've mentioned this before and time again, this is perhaps one of the philosophies behind why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he recommended on the wedding day, so you recite some Quran, but he recommended that the Surah Al-Waqi'ah is recited. And if we look at it, what is Surah Al-Waqi'ah? Surah Al-Waqi'ah is about the hereafter. So on the day that, again, most people were thinking, my life is really beginning now. This is truly the beginning of my life. I'm going to be happy now, and this is what we're thinking about. The Prophet of Allah, he says, no, think about the hereafter. Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yes, perhaps in the dunya you think this is the best day of your life, but he says, yes, true, but it will be the best day of your life that if you find that spouse and you have that spouse with you, that you are on that path back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you know what your goal is. Your goal is not, we have the nice big house, the Bentley, all of these things. No, that's not the objective. We have many children. No, that's not the objective. The objective is to journey in this life back towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find that companion and that spouse who will reciprocate love and compassion for you, that love and compassion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He is speaking about in the Quran, that love and compassion, as we saw in the poem of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam for Rubab, and the poem of Rubab for Imam Hussein. That compassion that is based on, again, the understanding of one's journey in this life. And when you live in that manner, again, you will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best of manners. One example of that, and this is something that almost a week ago, it kind of dawned upon me. And it came at an event that was pretty sad. I was called to go and to read a janazah prayer, Salatul Mayyit, over a dear friend of mine, of our family, a sister by the name of Shukura. She had passed away, and maybe about 10 months before that, her husband passed away. Her husband, she took care of her husband for 18 years. For 18 years, he had he was paralyzed from not a seizure, but he had like a heart attack. And so a stroke, yes. He had a stroke, and for 18 years he was paralyzed. And she took care of him. And when, again, he had other minor strokes on top of that other stroke near the end of his life, they knew that, well, he only has like a few days, maybe a week or so to live. She herself was kind of feeling pain as well. So she went to the doctor, she checked herself out, and then she realized that she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She came and she told her husband, and this is in his last week of life. And subhanAllah, the reaction of that, which dawned upon me after we had buried the sister and I sat between their graves. And again, I don't write poetry. I don't write Arabic poetry, but a poem just came to my mind in Arabic. Because they're buried almost side by side. And this is what I wrote, because after it came, immediately I wrote it down. I wrote, Surur al-Fatimiyya wa Mawt al-Haydariyya. Surur al-Fatimiyya wa Mawt al-Haydariyya wa min ajli surur al-Fatimiyya wa Mawt al-Haydariyya ashkuraka ya shakura wa aqulu laka Hussein ahsantum or ahsanta ya Husseina. So ashkuruki ya shakura wa aqulu laka ahsanta ya Husseina. I said, the happiness of Fatima and the death of Al-Haydariyya, death of Imam Ali. Because the day she died on Eid al-Ghadir. And actually her children and some people, they were saying that it's like her. She would pray for something like that, to die on a day that is auspicious for the Ahlul Bayt. Because she loved the Ahlul Bayt so much. So because of that, the line, Mawtul Haydariyya, that her death is coinciding with something, an auspicious event for Imam Ali. Her death also reflects, again, if you look at Imam Ali, when he was martyred, it was on a day that joined happiness and sadness. The night of Qadr, which is an event that, again, you're praying, you're seeking your rizq for the year, but at the same time, it is a sad moment because the Imam has passed away. So, a Mawt al-Haydariyya. But what is the Surur al-Fatimiyya? That was when the sister Shakura, she came, she told her husband, she says, well, I have stage 4 cancer. And it's bad. And he looked at her. He became happy. He says, really? He says, then we're going to be together. Soon. Reminded me of that moment that Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, when Rasulullah was on his deathbed and she was sad at that moment. But then he whispered in her ear that you will soon join me, and she became happy. This is the happiness that Hussein, her husband, felt. That, we've lived together in this world, we've journeyed through this life, and now again you will soon join me, and again we will be together in this next life. Surur al-Fatimiyya wa Mawt al-Haydariyya. Again, this is just an example of what we are taught, or at least we should be taught from the Quran. That when we live with that mawadda and rahmah, that love and compassion, we live based on that sunnah of Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam, that when we find our mate, our spouse, that we journey together in this life. We deal with the difficulties of this life. But we journey together back towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We help each other on that journey back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, He placed this in where? In the Meccan verses. And we mentioned the Meccan verses are there to what? To change the perception that people have. To change that culture that people had and what they perceived, which was a wrong perception about women or whatever those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He was addressing in the Meccan verses. But those Meccan verses are often coupled with verses from Medina. And the Medina verses, the Medini verses, does what? It puts things in perspective as far as the law. That these are the things that you should do. Yes, it's a concept. It's a way of thinking. You're supposed to change that way of thinking if it was wrong. But now, here's the law to come and to make that theology or make that theory into practice. So where does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He speak about this? And like I said, it's very important because the value, again, part of the value of the value and the role of women is understanding them, understanding the relationship that men and women have. And what is the correct type of relationship? And when we don't have that, again, as I said, feminism rises up. Also, patriarchy also takes off. And what happens is that these two, the males and females, they're at each other. They say, oh, this is a competition. No longer becomes a union. It no longer becomes a relationship where the two are helping each other, what? Spiritually. The two individuals are helping each other to be the best human being that they can be. It becomes, oh, well, who's making more money? If I'm making more money, then I have the greatest say in the house. Or, no, who's doing most of the housework? If I'm doing the most of the housework, then I say what happens in this. It becomes a competition. Rather than, again, a partnership based on mawadda and rahmah. Based on returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, in the Medini verses, again, He puts parameters there. What does He do? Where does He do this? In Surah An-Nisa, the chapter on women. Chapter 4 of the Quran, and we'll go, and there are a number of verses there. We'll take a couple of them right now. So verse 19 and 20. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la yuhillu lakum an tarithu an-nisaa karhan, wa la ta'adhuluhunna litadhhabu bi ba'di ma ataytumuhunna illa an ya'ti bi fahishatin mubayyinah. Wa ashiruhunna bil ma'ruf. فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. Subhanallah. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He states, and this is a very important verse to also remember, that whenever folks, they talk about, well, what is the status of women in Islam? And women, they don't have much status, they're forced to do this. No, these two verses, verse 19, or few verses, 19 to 22, again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's speaking about the status of women, and again, this interaction between men and women. So first of all, He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe. That if you have iman, if you have accepted this revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down, you've accepted, again, the verse like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He sent in Surah An-Nahl, where He's talking about that if you're blessed with a daughter, bushira. It is good news. Or the verse in Surah Rum, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He states that spouse that you find, and if you're a man, you're looking for a spouse and a woman. Or if you're a woman, looking for a spouse and a man. That spouse is one that you should have mawadda and rahmah between yourselves. So then He says, O you who believe, if you've accepted this, if you accept this revelation, the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing to you. He says, لا تحل لكم أن ترثوا النساء كرها. And this is basically talking about a practice that was in Arabia at times, and sometimes you find something similar to that, even if you're watching these soap operas or these type of things, these things happen. It says, it is not permissible to inherit a woman by force. And what was this culture? What was this custom? This custom was that if a person's father died, then that son, sometimes he would take the other wives, not his own mother, but the other wives of the father. He says, no, she's my wife now. This is what would happen. Some of the tribes and customs, this is what they would do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, those of you who have faith, have iman, He says, from this day forward, this is not permissible. Then He says, وَلَا تَعْذُلُهُنَّ لِتَذْهَبُوا بِبَعْضِ مَا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ. And this is what is important. Then He says that, O you who believe, again, do not hang on to women, do not bother them, do not, again, perturb them to the point that they are forced to give up part of what you've given them. And as some of the Mufassireens, they state that, and unfortunately this happens, that in some marriages, and you find that there are trouble. Perhaps these two souls were not kindred souls, and there are issues. Sometimes that happens. And if that happens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's putting guidelines. He says, why? Because the foundation of your relationship, it should be on what? Mawadda wa rahmah. He says, and if those issues arise, do not agitate the woman to the point that she gives up part of what you've given her. Part of her dowry, according to some of the commentaries. That she becomes so agitated, she wants to flee from this relationship, and in order to flee, then she has to pay something and take a divorce of khula. Okay, yes, it may be one of those things that, again, is permissible, either the divorce of khula. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, don't, again, make relationships with individuals in that way, that she has to give up that. Unless, إِلَّا إِن يَأْتِينَ بِفَاحِشَةٍ مُبَيِّنَةٍ. Unless, yes, there was some very bad and shameful actions that she had done. So yeah, at that point, again, she is perhaps moving out of the parameters of that love and rahmah and showing animosity. Likewise, if you show animosity, again, you're moving away from that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He deals with that too in this verse. So yes, if she's going out of the bounds of that sunnat of Rasulullah, that sunnat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afsatu wasalam, at that point, yes, she may have to forfeit some of what she was given. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. So live with them in goodness. How do you interact with your spouse, this mate? With goodness, with kindness, with love and compassion. Again, we have so many examples before us. Rasulullah and his wives. Even at times when some wives were giving him a hard time, again, he still maintained what? Rahmah. He was rahmatan lil alamin. Likewise with our A'imma alayhim afsatu wasalam. Look at their lives. Look at their, again, spouses. Some of them, again, even poisoned the imams. But when did I ever speak foul to these individuals? This is the example of Ahlul Bayt. That, again, when we say that, we are on the sunnat of Ahlul Bayt. Allahumma hyaya mahya Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa mamata Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is their life. This is their sunnah. This is their path. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. He says, وَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَجَعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. SubhanAllah. He says, and perhaps you may have some problems. Perhaps you may have some issues. Perhaps you may dislike the mate that you've chosen. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells you, reflect on this. Reflect hard on this. He says, because perhaps you dislike something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in that spouse and that mate for you, khayran kathira. In other words, don't let every small thing push her buttons and, oh, well, I walked in the house, she didn't give salams. Oh, this is unacceptable. Or I came home and, oh, she didn't have dinner ready. This is unacceptable. It's not her responsibility. Some people I said that before, and some people were like, oh, don't say this, Sheikh. No, it's not. Nowhere in the Sharia says it's wajib for her to cook or to clean. If she does it, it's out of her kindness. And likewise, you reciprocate that kindness, that love, and that rahmah. This is the way of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salatu. And in verse 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He says, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمْ إِسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. And this is, subhanAllah, a very interesting verse. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states, He says that, well, if it comes to the point that, okay, well, you are going to, He says, istibdala zawjan makana zawjan, that you're going to divorce. You're going to get rid of this wife. And then you're going to marry again. And again, this is not with any issue from the side of the woman. They say, no, I'm tired of this marriage. I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to marry another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states, He says, وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. He says that then you are responsible to give her wealth. And it's kind of interesting because most or many commentators, they say that, well, yeah, you give her her dowry, you make sure that her dowry is given. But there are some who says, no, this has nothing to do with the dowry. Has to do with if the man, just like if the woman, if she wants out, she's been agitated to the point that, oh, I want out of this marriage, then she has to get what? Divorce of khula. So she pays to get out of that divorce. He says, likewise, if the man, just for no reason, just he wants to get divorced, just get rid of it. And some people, they have this perception, say, well, divorce is in my hand. I'm the man, so I can do it anytime I want to. So some of the commentators says, no, that if that is the case, then you are obligated to pay her. Just as she wanted to get out of the door, she pays. You want to get out for no reason, then, again, you give. And one of the very early commentaries on this particular verse, it says that what is given is 1,200 dinar, 1,200 gold coins. Just if I'm, oh, well, I don't want this marriage anymore, I just get out. Again, and this is perhaps why even some of the fuqaha today, I know that even in Iran there's a system almost like alimony. Some of the fuqaha, they said, well, if this woman, she lived in your home, and she did housework, and now that she is being divorced for no reason, then you have to pay her what a person would get paid doing the job that she did. If she was cooking, if she was cleaning her home. If the salary was $30,000 a year, then you owe her $30,000 for each year that she has done this. You were married for 20 years, that's $300,000, $600,000. This has become a law. And perhaps this is a verse that some of the fuqaha, they looked at. They say, yes, if you just want to throw her to the side, toss her to the side, then okay, now you pay up. Because again, you have transgressed that bounds of what? Mawadda and rahmah. This is the example of Rasulullah. This is the example of Ahlul Bayt. This is what we saw between, again, Imam Hussein and Rabah. وآتيتم إحداهن قنطارا فلا تأخذوا منه شيئا. And don't take anything from it. أتأخذونه بهتانا وإثما مبينا. Again, if you are transgressing this, you are not following this, are you, again, cutting into the rights of this woman that you've married, that you've embraced, a woman that you've refused to, again, live with based on the criterion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth. Mawadda and rahmah. He says, and cutting into that right, he says, it is buhtan and ithm, is oppression. It's a sin. And this is something that unfortunately, even within the ummah, again, you find people not following this. You find some who are, my wife, she's doing this or doing that. Claims that are, again, not based on, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, فَاحِشَةٍ مُبَيِّنَةٍ. Is there clear evidence there's something was wrong? Or no, I just don't feel like it. And it comes from both sides, unfortunately. And this is why we mentioned that, again, not following this guideline that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set forth in the Quran, those guidelines that we see in the life of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Again, the value of marriage, of relationships, is undermined. To the point that even now, if you look, we see that some people are, and this has happened, some people, they've married their cell phones. Or they've married trains. One woman even married a ghost. It's like, well, if I can't find someone who's going to treat me kindly, so I'll marry a ghost. But Islam has a solution for this. But we must follow, again, the path of the Quran, the path of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We must, again, understand the status of women. This is partly where it starts. Again, unfortunately, when you look across history, yes, men have always kind of had this position of, again, their izzat, their respect. But unfortunately, the respect and dignity of women has not always been understood correctly. As we mentioned, this University of Karbala, of Ashura, this is one which teaches us that. One of those women that we see, that shining light of Iman, someone with love and compassion in our heart that, again, when no one had love and compassion. In fact, when no one had even good reason and sense, I would say. And when no one, again, followed the principles of their deen, then we see this woman as one of those shining lights, one of those beacons of light. And this woman was Toa. That when everyone in Kufa, they turned their backs on Muslim ibn Aqil. When they turned their backs on their deen. When they turned their backs on the sunnah of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, this one woman, she stood out. مسلم وقف يم باب توعة. تعرفون البيت. يريد الجواب. مسلم وقف يم باب توعة يدي الافكار. خجلان رأسه منكسة والدمع النثار. وتوعد قلش حاجتك من وقفتك هاي. قل هاي وهو مغبون يخفي الصوت بحدايا. عطشان أنا بالله تطلعي لي شوي ماي. جابت الماء وشرب منه وقف محتار قالت شربت الماء لا توقف قالت شربت الماء لا توقف على الباب عيب على مثلك وقفتك ببيوت الأجناب. این زمزم حضرت مسلم ابن عقیل است. این مصیبت سوز دل همه. زمزم مسلم ابن عقیل چی بود؟ کوفه میا حسین، کوفه وفادار نداره. کوفه میا حسین، کوفه وفادار نداره. کوفه میا حرم حسین یار نداره. کوفه میا عزیز فاطمه. I want to take you just for a second to the plains of Karbala on the day of Ashura. Remember that day. Remember what happened on that day on the plains of Karbala on Ashura when Zainab, she stood and she watched Imam Hussein as he was kneeling on the plains of Karbala on his hands and knees. And this was a moment when he had no one. Spears and arrows had been pushed in his chest. Imam Hussein was wounded on the plains of Karbala. Then Zainab, salamullah alayha, she called out on the plains of Karbala as she was looking at the army of Umar ibn Sa'd. She said, Ama minkum Muslim. She says, is there a Muslim among you? Is there anyone among you that is Muslim? If we were there, what would we tell Zainab? We would tell Zainab, yes, Zainab, once there was a Muslim in the lands of Kufa. Once there was a Muslim in the lands of Kufa, but he was left alone, just as Hussein was left alone on the plains of Karbala. You say, Zainab, yes. Why did no one answer you that there's a Muslim among them? Because they had martyred Muslim in Kufa. And if Muslim he had known that on this day, on Ashura, that they will take the head of Imam Hussein and place it upon the spear, that he would sacrifice his life time and time again. Yes, Zainab, there was a Muslim in Kufa, but Muslim was martyred. And what day was Muslim martyred in Kufa? Muslim was martyred on the day of Eid. He was martyred on the day of Eid, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Qurban, the Eid of sacrifice. This is the sacrifice that Muslim ibn Aqil he made for Imam Hussein. Muslim ibn Aqil, he was the sacrifice of Imam Hussein on Eid al-Adha. Karte hai bi kason ko parishan Eid pe. होता है गहरे पतूल का वीरान ईद पे हैदर का सर कत्ताब कभी मुस्लिम ज़बह हुए हैदर का सर कता कभी मुस्लिम ज़बह हुए ज़ैनब को लूटे हैं मुसलमान ईद पे on the day of Eid. On the day of Eid al-Adha, Muslim was the sacrifice. Muslim was the sacrifice. On the day of Eid, when most of the families, they would go and they would enjoy the company with one another. But what was happening to the family of Hussein? That on the day of Eid, that his family would be martyred. On that day, Muslim ibn Aqil, Ajib. There was one sunnah that Muslim ibn Aqil he started. And we see in some of the riwayat that says that when you want to give salam to Imam Hussein, it is actually recommended in some of the riwayat that when you want to give salam, that you go upon the roof of your home and you give your salams to Imam Hussein. who gave their salams to Imam Hussein on the rooftop. This was Muslim ibn Aqil, that when he was captured and he was taken up to the roof of the castle of Ibn Ziyad, where he would be beheaded. But before he would be beheaded, he actually says that I want to make my 2 rakats of salat. He made those 2 rakats, and he turned towards Mecca. Then he began to say, As-salamu alaykum. يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا مولاي. This was the salam of Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim, like so many other shuhada, that they could not make their wasiyah properly. And if Muslim was to give one wasiyah, what would that wasiyah be? Perhaps he would have told Imam Hussein that, Ya Mawlai, I came to Kufa with 2 of my sons, but one child I left with you. I left my daughter Hamida with you. Ya Mawlai, protect my daughter, look after my daughter. And it said that when Muslim ibn Aqil, when he was martyred atop the castle of Ibn Ziyad, it is as if Imam Hussein, he understood. And it's as if he had understood and he had heard the salams of Muslim ibn Aqil. This is narrated in some of the maqtals. They said that Imam Hussein, he said, Wa alayka salam. Wa alaykum salam. Then it said that he put his hand on the head of Hamida. And when Hamida, the daughter of Muslim ibn Aqil, she looked towards Imam Hussein, she knew that only Imam Hussein, he would put his hand and he would rub the head of that person who has become yatim. She looked at Imam Hussein, she looked at her uncle. She says, what has happened to my father? What has happened to my father? Has something happened to him? Imam Hussein, he looked at Hamida. He says, Ya bunay, ana abuch al-yawm. Ya bunay, ana abuch al-yawm. That, oh my daughter, that today I'm your father. Today I am your father. Matim Hussein. Matim Hussein.